County Today is presented by Connell Real Estate. Hire an agent, get a team. Learn more by visiting connellrealestate.com.
Hey everyone, Jacob Granneman here with the Thursday night update from Clark County Today. Washington Governor Jay Inslee was in Ridgefield this morning, touring the mass vaccination site at the Clark County Fairgrounds. Chris Brown recaps the visit.
Who decides whether they go to your store or to the site?
The governor and first lady, accompanied by Secretary of Health Dr. Umar Shah, arrived shortly after 8:30 and visited with National Guard members, Department of Health employees, and pharmacists with Safeway and Albertsons, who've been vaccinating around 700 people per day at the Fairgrounds vaccination site.
We just could not be more delighted about how functional this operation has been so quickly to bring so many vaccinations at such a critical period of time.
Inslee said the state is hopeful that vaccine supplies will improve in the near future. The federal government has promised a 16% increase in shipments for the next 3 weeks and better communication ahead of time about how much will be arriving.
We could not do this without our public, and we just really appreciate the patience from our public. As the governor mentioned, we cannot vaccinate 7 million people in this barn today. I'm not sure we can vaccinate even tomorrow 7 million people in this barn. But what we are getting to is what can we do to build the capacity so we can vaccinate more and more Washingtonians every single day.
In just the past week, the state has gone from around 13,000 daily vaccinations to nearly 40,000, close to the state's goal of 45,000 per day, though much of that increase is likely due mostly to increased access. The Department of Health said new appointments for the site should open in the next couple of days, and will try to notify people further ahead of time. The county, meanwhile, continues to pursue its own efforts at mobile vaccination clinics, as well as other community vaccination sites, but those are on hold until more vaccine supply can be obtained.
This afternoon, Governor Inslee announced that 2 of the 8 regions in the state can move into Phase 2 of the Healthy Washington Roadmap to Recovery Plan. Those include the Puget Sound region, including King, Pierce, and Snohomish counties, as well as the West region, including Pacific, Thurston, and Lewis counties. That represents around half of the state population. Under Phase 2, restaurants can open at 25% capacity. Inslee said this decision was made possible because regions now only need to meet 3 of the 4 metrics, which include growth rates in hospitalizations, new cases, and test positivity, as well as the overall hospital capacity. Clark County is currently meeting 1 of those 4 metrics. The state is also adjusting to use a 2-week window for trends rather than a weekly basis. Optimism about declining COVID-19 numbers may have been premature after Clark County Public Health reported 106 new cases today and noted that delays in obtaining positive test results from providers may be partially to blame for lower numbers recently. Still, no new deaths were reported overnight, and hospitalizations remains relatively steady with 47 confirmed and 10 suspected cases, making up just 10% of available bed space. Active cases ticked up slightly to 647. Ctran and its fleet of buses has had to adapt to an ever-changing landscape of COVID-19, much like many other organizations. Able to remain open throughout the duration of the pandemic, the transit organization has implemented increased sanitation crews on all its buses, as well as shielding for drivers and mandatory face coverings for riders.
You know, it's been, Ctran's made it pretty easy by installing the barriers, giving us lots of PPE, and trying to protect us. I think they've done a really good job with that. We do have our concerns, of course. I mean, you're still in proximity of people, but I think for the most part, we're, you know, the company's done a good job with what they can do. So.
Bus fare was initially waived for the first few months of the pandemic, but has been reinstated since summer using upgraded safety measures. The organization says they have seen a reduction in ridership like many other transit agencies, but that theirs is currently the smallest in Washington state. For more information, read our full story at clarkcountytoday.com. A new homeless shelter is being planned near the Vancouver Mall. Paul Valencia found one former homeless woman who said staying in a shelter saved her life. She hopes more homeless people will seek out the help from the system. Here's Paul with more.
Earlier this month, some local business owners objected to the plan to turn the Howard Johnson Hotel near the Vancouver Mall into a homeless shelter. One even asked if there have been any success stories from the shelters in the region. Turns out there have been several, according to the Council for the Homeless. Today, we share the story of one. Tessa Skilton was on the streets for 10 years. She finally asked for and accepted help. With the security of a shelter, she started to take care of herself. Today, she is celebrating a year in her own apartment.
My name's Tessa Skilton, and I'm, thankfully housed after 10 years of being homeless. Waited on a long list to get into a shelter, which the lists are way long. I finally got into a shelter which gave me a step up, including plumbing, electricity, a locking door, these things that are commonly taken for granted. But that gave me also the place where I could charge my phone and stuff so I could be directly contacted for housing and stuff and for jobs. I thank my shelter, I thank my church, or Good Life Friends Church, and Recovery Cafe, Council for the Homeless. I mean, a lot of organizations and people helped them along my way. But yeah, this shelter was the final step up. Step is a hand up, not a handout.
For more on Tessa's story and for links to ask for help, see our story on clarkcountytoday.com.
2 community advisory groups have been formed to provide input on the Interstate Bridge project. The Equity Advisory Group and the Community Advisory Group held their first meetings this week. Program Administrator Greg Johnson told the groups we're going to do the bridge. We reached out to Johnson to see if he was open to doing a seismic upgrade on the current bridge and then building an additional bridge for I-5. Johnson responded to this and other questions and was asked the following by a committee member.
Is the current bridge being removed, repurposed, or replaced?
So we've looked at it, and the operational cost and the maintenance cost of keeping the existing bridge and making a different connection would be overwhelming to anything. So right now, the plans would be to remove the existing bridge.
There are a host of important decisions to be made in the next 6 months by the project team and their advisory groups, so go to clarkcountytoday.com to read the full story. Well, those are our stories we've got for you today. Be sure to check in with us on social media through Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as YouTube to see when stories get posted and join the conversation. You can also send us story ideas and feedback. Our email is news@clarkcountytoday.com. From all of us, I'm Jacob Graneman. Thanks so much for watching. Have an awesome evening, and we'll see you again tomorrow.